In this video, we're going to be Dockerizing our Go application for both development and production using Docker best practices like build a pattern and multi-state fields. So I'll start by going over to my VS Code. As you can see, I've initialized a very basic web server in Go. I'm using Gorilla Mux router to just send hello world. Perfect. I'm going to close this and let's add a Dockerfile. Now let's define a development workflow. So from Golang 1.16.5 as development, I'll add a work directory, which would be app, copy our modules and some file, copy go mod, go sum, and install our modules. So run go mod download. Copy our source files. You can also copy selective files to take advantage of Docker layer caching, but here I'll just copy everything. For development, I'll also use Reflex. If you're not familiar with Reflex, it's basically a tool which automatically restarts our app when something changes. Let's go back. So run, go install, Reflex. Expose a port. And finally, start our app with Reflex. Now we should be able to restart our Go app without having to rebuild our container. Moving on, let's also create a Docker Compose file. I'll start by defining a version. And then our services. Let's say app, container name, app dev, image, app dev, build, context, target, development. We will also mount a volume so that our changes are reflected in the container as well. So volumes, and this would be with app. Finally, let's bind our ports. So 4000 with 4000. Now this Docker Compose file should help us develop faster without having to write long Docker commands. Let's go to the terminal and start the app. Docker Compose up. Perfect. As you can see, our server is running. I'm going to go to the browser and check it out. And as expected, we get our hello Docker message. I'm going to go back. And let's see if we make some changes, will our server restart? So main.go hello Docker twice. If we see down here, our server did restart. Let's confirm with the browser. So I'm going to go here and refresh. And we can see hello Docker twice. Perfect. Let's go back and stop this. Clear the terminal. Close the files. And now let's start with our production setup. So for production, we'll be using build a pattern and multi-stage builds. If you're not familiar with build a pattern, we just split our build process into multiple images, or as we call it, stages, to make sure our final production or release image has no extra dependencies. This helps us by giving us tiny Docker images, which improves our performance and security. I think I'll also make a separate video on build a pattern and leave a link in the description below. So let's start by defining a builder stage. And this would be very similar to our development, but instead of running our app, it would build it. So from Golang 1.16.5 as builder. I'll also add some build variables. Add a work directory, let's say app, copy our Go module and some file, Install our modules, command download, copy our source files, and finally do a build. We can start defining our production image, which will use a very light base image, let's say Alpine. So from Alpine latest as production. I'll also add some certificates so that we can reach external HTTPS services. So run apk add no cache CA certificates. Now here's the cool part. As we've already built our code, we can just copy the build artifact. So copy from builder, we will copy app to current directory. At last, I'll expose the port. So expose 4000 and run our build. So command app. Now let's build our production target. So I'll go to the terminal and do docker build, tag it, give it a context and a target. Looks like our image is built. So I'll do docker images. And as you can see, we've reduced size of our production image over 50 times. Great, let's run our image. So I'm gonna clear this and I'll do docker run port 80 with 4000. Give it a name of appprod and our image is also appprod. I'll also say that I'm not using Docker Compose for production as it's much recommended to use a container orchestrator like Kubernetes. Okay, let's run this. And our container is up and running. Lastly, I'll add some comments to this Dockerfile and commit them to this repository and also leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching.